The following is a presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and/or future. Oh my goodness, do I need a haircut? It's longer than 1 inch, I can tell you that. How you doing? My name is Ron Zucker. Welcome to the program, and welcome to, well, who knows how many of these we'll actually do. My God, it's just everywhere. Where I play 5 teams in Solitaire Pro Football from 1981 and do their games. Can't show you the games. I can go through the highlights, and by goodness, do I look terrible. There are some really good highlights to show you. So let's tell you the 5 teams. First of all, it's the 2 NFC semifinalists, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. In the AFC, it's the 2 semifinalists. It's the Cincinnati Bengals and the San Diego Chargers. Let's throw in the Giants just for grins and giggles because it was their first playoff year since 1963. And me, budding Cincinnati Bengal fan, was happier than a pig in poo with the Bengals making the playoffs. The Giants, who I had an interest in being good for the first time in my life. And yeah, I kind of rooted for the Cowboys then too. So this should be fun. Let's get right to it, shall we? We start at RFK Stadiums. September 6th, 1981, the Dallas Cowboys, coming off their conference championship loss, going to RFK to do the dreaded rivalry game against the Washington Redskins. And it pretty much was a WTOP, all Washington, all the time, all news, all Joe Theismann, all the time. In the first quarter, Mark Mosley, the last good straight-ahead kicker, booted in one from 31 yards, 3-0 Washington Redskins. And then Danny White was not told, no, Danny, no. The Cowboys, with their lone lead of the game, a 14-yard pass to Drew Pearson, Raphael Septien booted it home at 6:45 to go in the first, and it was 7-3 Cowboys. Remember, this is the era that the Cowboys made, what was it, 3 straight NFC Championship games and didn't win any? This is the middle of that. So Dallas is good, okay? Let's. They didn't get anything out of it, but they're good. Then Washington took over. They aren't the Redskins of 82 or 83. I believe they were a 500 team. Joe Theismann, 24 yards out of the backfield to Terry Metcalf at 5:15. 10-7, touchdown, Washington Redskins. Then later on in the first quarter, it becomes 17-7. Theismann hits Ricky Thompson deep on a 42-yard pass. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. So 17-7 after one. Then Danny White, cool as a cucumber, finds, hey, it's Doug Cosby for a 7-yard pass to make it 17-14, 9:45 to go in the half. Septien hits the extra point. 2 Washington drives fall short, a 24-yarder by Mosley and a 44-yarder with 25 seconds to go in the half makes it 23-14 DC. No scoring in the third period. Dallas makes it a 2-point game, 8:45 to go. Danny White goes up top to Tony Hill for 33, and RFK holds its collective breath. But never fear, Joe Theismann is here. He finds Art Monk. I think this was like a 4th down pass too. From 23 yards, they go up 30-21. I could feel RFK shaking all the way in here. Final score, Washington Redskins 30. I'm sorry, I forgot this. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Redskins 30, Dallas 21. Oh, the stats and stories for you. Yeah, Washington went for it twice on 4th down and made it. Dallas, 19 first downs to 12. Dallas ran the ball 35 times. Tony Dorsett 25 times. As a team, they ran for 138 yards. Washington, again, it's Joe Washington and John Riggins, 29 times for 88 yards. We'll go. Danny White threw 4 interceptions. I can hear it. I can hear Landry going, no, Danny, no. Penalty 7 for Dallas, 6 for Washington. Dallas was sacked twice, Washington once. The Cowboys racked up 357 yards, but when you turn it over 4 times, you aren't winning ball games. Now, the specifics. Tony Dorsett, leading rusher in the 5 games, 25 yards, 25 carries, 112 yards, nothing longer than 13, just very, very consistent. Ron Springs, 8 for 26. Danny White, quarterback rating is 68.5. 15 for 30 for 223, 4 picks and 3 scores. Leading receiver, Ron Springs. He had that 52-yarder, but it wasn't for a score. 3 catches for 58. Tony Hill, 3 for 64. You can see the targeted receiver, Springs, didn't have that great of a game. White tried to go to him 8 times and found him 3 times. They did not lose any fumbles. Too Tall Jones and John Dutton had the sacks. James Jones, a pretty good returner, 3 for 46 and 4 punt returns for 20. And yes, I pooched one for Raphael Septien, but White, 4 punts, 161 yards. And Septien missed his lone field goal attempt. It was long, but he did make all 3 extra points. Now, Washington doesn't really have much of a running game. Joe Washington, who I'm sure my 9-year-old self thought that was kind of cool, that Washington had a player by the name of Washington. 9 carries, 29 yards. Rigo, if it wasn't for that Super Bowl run, I think he'd just be thought of more as an eccentric dude. 9 carries, 16 yards. Joe Theismann, 5 carries, 19 yards. And they just kind of spread it around quite a bit. In the air, 15 for 28 was Theismann for $187 and 3 scores. He only completed 53.6% of his passes, but that's the era, and so that's very good. Art Monk, 2 for 44. Joe Washington, Virgil Say, and Terry Metcalf all had 3 catches apiece. Again, Metcalf was thrown to 6 times. That just seems extremely accurate to me. Ricky Thompson's 1 catch was the touchdown, and Rich Castor had a catch for 6 yards. Joe Washington fumbled, didn't lose it. Dexter Manley, not sure if this is his first game or not, but he had a quarterback sack. Here are the picks. Neil Wolkowitz. Monty Coleman had 2, and Joe Lavender smelled nice on his 8-yard return. Terry Metcalf, Mike Nelms had an 84-yard kickoff return that the Redskins didn't score on. Imagine that. Mike Connell, 7 punts, a 44-yard average. Mosley hit all 3 field goals and all 3 field goal attempts. And last but not least, here's how we broke it down per quarter. Dallas, they just were very consistent except for the 3rd quarter where they didn't have the ball very often. Where were the picks? White got picked off twice in the 4th quarter. And you can see the total yards. They had 120 in the 1st quarter, 97 as they were trying to make a comeback in the 4th. Washington's defense very stout in the 2nd, only 70 yards. They had the ball for 8.5 minutes. And what about D.C., you ask? Well, they own the 3rd quarter, 11 rushes for 32 yards. I mean, since I always play it's inbounds in the third quarter, that's a lot of time to take off the clock. Just those 11 runs took 5.5 minutes off. Theismann 5 for 5 for $102 in the 1st quarter, and then just kind of average the rest of the way. He got sacked twice in the 3rd quarter. Redskins offense was the best in the 1st quarter when they only had the ball 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So that's what happened there. It was a big win for Washington, and again, RFK shook. To Cincinnati, where the Seattle Seahawks surprised the Bengals 21-20. And 9-year-old me was not happy. We start in the 1st quarter. Sherman Smith, a 10-yard run. 7:15 to go, 7-0. Jim Breach, 36-yarder. It was good, 7-3 after 1. Defensive struggle in the 2nd quarter. Just a Jim Breach field goal with 6:15 to go. 7-6 at the half. When I played this game in Strat a few years ago, Cincinnati won 31-0. Then in the third, my childhood quarterback hero, Ken Anderson. 13 yards to Isaac Curtis, touchdown. 7 to go. Bengals go up 13-7. Now, I'm pretty happy at this point. Anderson to Dan Ross for 14 yards. Extra point good. 3:10 to go. Bengals up 20-7, and they can run. Then back came Seattle. 12.5 to go. A blocked punt picked up by Pete Cronin in return for 14 yards. What the hell happened, Pat McNally? 2014. It's okay. My 9-year-old self says, it's okay. We'll be fine. Wait, what? Zorn to David Hughes for 9 yards, 10.5 to go. The Bengals are down 1. What you don't see is the Bengals drove it down at the end of the game. They had a chance to win on a field goal. Seattle 21, Cincinnati 20. All right, let's go through it. I don't think there was a block there. Bengals had 429 yards, but their offense is good. They ran it 34 times for 139. Seattle couldn't get anything going on the ground. Kenny Anderson does get picked off twice. He throws for 290 yards. Seattle had 12 penalties. And Breach just missed. I forgot what the rule was. It must have been pretty high. Seattle 4 for 11 on third down. Bengals 5 for 13. We do penalties? Yeah. 12 for 84, and they still won. How'd they do it? They didn't do it on the ground. Theodis Brown, 7 carries, 14 yards. Sherman Smith, 5 carries, 18 yards. Dan Dornink, 3 carries for 9 yards. David Hughes, 4 carries for 1 yard. Oh, Kurt Warner, we need you in Seattle. I mean, when Horace Ivory is your third leading rusher, or fourth leading rusher, and he only had 1 carry, that's bad. That's bad. Jim Zorn, 19 for 32, 259 yards, and a score. And Steve Largent, their top receiver, just was en fuego. 8 catches, 127 yards, just very consistent all the way through. Zorn completed nearly 60% of his passes. And outside of Largent, just mixed it up really well. John Sawyer, Tom's brother, he was a mean catch. He got 1 catch for 40 yards. McCollum, not a great day as a receiver. They went to him 5 times, and he only caught 1. Largent lost a fumble. John Harris and Michael Jackson had interception returns. Kickoff returns, nothing special. Nothing special on any returns. Jeff West, 7 punts for an average of 37-4. Efren Herrera didn't make a field goal. He went 3 for 3 in extra points, and that's all you need. All right. How the Bengals loused this up? Well, wasn't Pete Johnson 20 carries? He was the only other one that had 20 carries on him and Dorsett, which just goes to show the strength of the game. 20 carries, 86 yards for 13. Charles Alexander, we'll forget about him. Kenny Anderson was a mobile quarterback. Remember, he came out of the Bill Walsh West Coast offense that they tried in Cincinnati and was later perfected by San Francisco, although it won't look like that when we show you San Francisco stuff. 6 carries, 42. So effective on the ground, and poor Archie Griffin, 2 carries, 3 yards. Anderson completed 64% of his passes, but he got picked off twice. 22 for 34 for 290. Chris Collinsworth, 6 catches, 106, including 1 for 39 yards. Ross is their best receiver, or had the most catches. 5 out of 7 caught for 44 yards. So good possession receiver. Isaac Curtis, Steve Kreider. So he was very consistent in getting the ball around the field with the 2 touchdowns. But again, Breach with a missed field goal at the very end. Collinsworth lost a fumble. Bo Harris with a sack. Lewis Breeden with that 1-yard return. And the kick for Breach was under 40 yards. Under 40 yards. They only needed a field goal to win, and they couldn't do it. Seattle just really didn't make a heck of a lot of effort to run the football. 13 passes in the first. They just only had the ball 11 minutes in the second half. Again, very good first quarter, 102 yards. They had 191 in the first half. And so the Bengals defense was effective. But again, the breach missed field goal, I think, was from 38. Was the difference. Bengals had one heck of a third quarter. They got 160 total yards. Anderson 8 for 10 for 142. Again, 8-year-old me or 9-year-old me, happier than a pig in poo. They ran the ball well in the fourth quarter, 10 carries for 51. Anderson probably started to press a bit. But again, they had 429 yards and 27 first downs. Only 4 by penalty. And that was that for that. Speaking of disappointments, I'm not quite sure how the New York Giants made the playoffs in 1981, but they did. They went 10-6. The Eagles were under 500 or a 500 team in 1981. They're coming off the NFC Championship. Actually, I think Philly wins the wild card. So these are the 2 wild cards. And what the Eagles do? Well, the Eagles are good. The Eagles are good. Joe Danello got the Giants off to the only score of the first quarter, a 37-yard field goal. 3-0 Giants. In the second, Tony Franklin took a shoe off and booted one from 37, 3-3. Then Scott Brunner found Johnny Perkins with 4.5 to go to make it 10-3 New York. And then Jaws at the gun, at the half, 38 yards to Harold Carmichael, 10-10 wins. And that was the high water mark for the Giants. Montgomery is so good. He ran in one from 18 yards with 8.5 to go to make it 17-0. And then Doug Kotar, with 2.5 to go, got tackled in the end zone. It was a safety, 19-10 Philly. And the nail in the coffin, Jaws found Carmichael from 13 yards, 26-10. The Giants, I need to figure out a way from them to move the football. The Eagles can run. Montgomery is good. 35 rushes, 124 yards overall for Philly. 3.5 yards a rush will work if you're running it that much. The Giants ran the ball 23 times for 94. Problem was, they threw it 26, and this was a combined effort by Scott Brunner and Phil Simms, and completed 9 to the Giants and 2 to the Eagles. Penalties, yep, the Giants weren't very disciplined. 11 for 82. Philly 5 for 40. Both teams got in some sacks, including Lawrence Taylor getting one in his first game. Jaws 3 for 19, found the turf, and the Giants were sacked 4 times for 22. The Eagles put up 406 yards. That will do a lot right there because neither team was very good on third down. Eagles went for it twice on fourth down. Eagles had 5 possessions in the red zone and scored 17 points. Again, Montgomery, 19 carries, 83 yards, just very consistent. Huey Oliver, 6 for 11, and Perry Harrington, 4 for 12. But again, Montgomery is just, like Pac-Man, just gobbling up things at the 19-yarder and a touchdown. I was surprised. I forgot what play card they used. They didn't need to pass it 39 times, but they did. And Jaworski threw for 304 yards. Harold Carmichael, he's a beast. He's an absolute beast. 9 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, the longest 38. By the way, you'll see the Eagles if I go through all this 4 times this year, along with the Redskins, because we're doing 2 teams for the NFC East. Longest pass was to Carmichael, and he missed he tried to go to Carmichael 14 times. Dennis Harrison, Claude Humphrey, and Jerry Robinson had sacks. Wally Henry is a returner. Eagles recovered 2 fumbles. Max Redinger had a good day. Tony Franklin, wear some shoes on that turf. He went 0 for 2 from 40 plus. Must have been his number was good enough for me to try it. He hit all 3 extra points. All right. Rob Carpenter had a decent day. 8 carries, 46 yards, and a 5.8 average, including a 26-yarder. Doug Kotar is the one that got tackled for a safety. Didn't get much for that. Giants tried to run. Really couldn't do too well. Or didn't go off to it often enough. Scott Brunner, 9 for 23. 157, which isn't bad for only completing 9 passes. A score, 2 picks, and a quarterback rating of 41.4. He's not very good. I brought in Phil Simms. What did Phil Simms do? Have I told you what I think of Phil Simms? He goes 0 for 3. Carpenter, 1 catch for 24. Gary Shirk, the long of the day, 46. And Johnny Perkins, 3 for 46 as well. George Martin had 2 sacks and produced a Beatles album. Gary Jeter had a sack, and Lawrence Taylor, again in his first game, had a sack. Leon Bright, a decent returner. And Dave Jennings is a good punter. He averaged 43. Danella made his only field goal and made his only extra point. Can't blame him for that. Eagles, again, through in the first half. In the third quarter, look, if it works, it works. They had the ball in the second half almost 22 minutes. They ran it 25 times in the second half. And Jaws just, again, so many throws. I mean, he was 7 for 17 in the first half. Better in the second, 406 yards. So they had the ball 22 minutes and had 244 yards offense in the second half, including 16 first downs. You move the chains, you eat the clock. Which was not a problem the Giants had in the second half. They had 2 first downs. First half, they played really well. They ran the ball okay. Brunner, 3 for 8 in the first, 5 for 8 in the second, despite the 2 sacks. And that was their. And then Brunner and Simms went a combined 1 for 10 in the second half. And they ran it 8 times and had the ball 7 minutes and 45 seconds. It wasn't pretty. We'll get to the Monday night game in a moment. Interesting to see how this team kind of comes together. The Lions have Billy Simms. Who is their quarterback? Doesn't really matter. The Lions have Billy Simms. San Francisco isn't quite the 49ers yet. In fact, for a team that passed to set up the run, they ran it 44 times. And there really isn't anybody on San Francisco that I would call a descript runner. Scoring first quarter. They did have 2 successful drives. Ray Wersching from 39. Ray Wersching from 21. Ray Wersching, by the way, was on an episode of High Rollers that aired over the 4th of July in 1975 when he was with the Rams. Second quarter, we finally had a couple touchdowns. Johnny Davis, a 1-yard Nestea plunge. And then with 8:15 to go, Paul Hofer, another 1-yard Nestea plunge. So the Niners' drives were good, and it was 20-0 at that point. Eddie Murray, a 49-yard field goal with 5 to go. Also drove in a couple runs for the Orioles. No scoring in the third. Detroit kind of made it interesting just to start the fourth quarter. Freddie Scott, an 11-yard run. But Paul Hofer, again, another touchdown. The 49ers, what is that, 3 touchdowns, all 1 yard Nestea plunges. All right, team stats, 23 first downs for San Francisco. They did not run it very well, but they were consistent with it. Montana is fantastic. 16 for 25 for 241. It was Eric Hipple for Detroit. He went 10 for 11 for $140. Penalties, yep, we had a ton. Sacks, 1 apiece. Niners at 347 yards. No block kicks. Third down, nothing to write home about. 49ers went for it once on fourth down and made it. Joe Montana, 5 carries for 6 yards. Again, it really is a four-headed monster in the backfield. Cooper, Patton, well, really 5. Hofer, Davis, and Easley. I can't imagine that they all played at the same time in many games. No one was good except for Davis. He had 6 for 28. But it was effective. And Hofer, look at this line. 4 carries, 3 yards, no carry longer than 2. And he scored twice. Again, Montana didn't find the end zone, didn't get picked off, completed 64% of his passes. That'll do. 16 for 25 for 200. And 41 yards. Who's he throwing to? Well, Freddie Solomon is just an absolute speedster. 6 catches, 130. Earl Cooper, you can see where the West Coast offense is trying to go through. 3 catches for 44. Hofer had 1 catch for 7. Clark, he tried. It targeted him 5 times. 2 catches for 17. That'll get better over the course of the season. Davis and Easley, kind of like backfield checkdowns. They got yards. And Charles Young, tight end, 2 for 41. Longest pass was to Solomon for 41 yards. And that's that for that. Lawrence Pillars had the sack. Freddie Solomon is a dangerous punt returner. He had 1 for 32. And Ronnie Lott, in his first game, picked up 2 fumbles and ran for 3 yards. Wersching missed 2 from inside 40. Wersching is not great, but it worked. Let's look at Detroit. You know, Billy Sims, one of those stories of what might have been. Not sure we'll see him again in this replay. 9 carries, 35 yards. Dexter Bussey, 9 carries, 5 yards. They tried. Eric Hipple, forced to run 5 times for 11. It was okay. Freddie Scott, 11-yard end around for the score. The lone Detroit touchdown. Eric Hipple, 10 for 21, 140. It was over. Dexter Bussey didn't touch the ball 11 times for 10 yards. The Niners' pass defense is good. Detroit really couldn't get anything going. Leonard Thompson, the long pass of the day for the Lions. 40 yards. They fumbled it 3 times, lost it twice. Dave Purifieri had the lone sack. Robbie Martin had a 33-yard return. And Billy Sims fumbled and picked it up and returned it for 10. And Tom Scaladny had 2 punts that were shanked. San Francisco had the ball 12 minutes in the first quarter, 7:40 in the second, 8.5 in the third, 8:15 in the fourth. Again, runs in this game, for the most part, you stay in bounds, you take that time off the clock, it works. And Montana, 6 for 9 in the first, 4 for 7 in the second, a perfect 4 for 4 in the third. The Niners had the ball 36 minutes and 25 seconds and 23 first downs, and they didn't turn it over. They didn't have 8 penalties, but none in the fourth quarter. Lions just couldn't really get anything going on the ground. Hippo went 4 for 6 in the third quarter. It wasn't like they tried. That was their best quarter. It's 6 first downs. But at no point did they have 100 yards offense in a quarter. 224 total. They didn't turn it over. But they just really couldn't get anything. Oh, they did. They turned it over twice. They didn't have a pass intercepted. They just couldn't get anything going. And of all the games that played, this was the easiest one. It was 27-10 San Francisco. Then there was Monday night. The Cleveland Browns coming off a red right 88. The San Diego Chargers a potential Super Bowl team on Monday Night Football. GIF, Howard and Dandy Don there, and when I looked at the ratings for that, I thought San Diego was going to crush them. First quarter, Chuck Muncie from 5 yards, 7-0. Bernurschke, I don't think, had a great game. Second quarter, John Capoletti, a 2-yard run, 14-0. Yep, the route is on, eh? Nope, Brian Sipe, 22 yards to Ozzie Newsome, 10:45 to go. It's a 1-touchdown game. John Capoletti again, a 4-yard run. I actually knew someone who was a huge John Capoletti fan. She'll be quite happy about that. 21-7 at the half, and I put it away thinking, this one's over. At some point, the Cleveland Browns realized they needed to run. And the San Diego Chargers defense in real life in 1981 was Swiss cheese. And in this game, it was Swiss cheese. Fouts to Joyner, 15 yards. It's 28-7, 10:45 to go in the third quarter. But back comes Cleveland. Mike Pruitt from 1, 28-14. Mike Pruitt from 5 with 90 seconds to go, 28-21. James Brooks gives San Diego a 10-15, a 2-touchdown lead. But again, Swiss cheese. Sipe to Newsome, second time in the game, this time from 13 yards, 35-28. San Diego gives the ball away late. Cleveland gets down to the San Diego 1 with 5 seconds to go, and Sipe gets sacked. It was either overtime or the game, and it was the game. The Chargers, in such typical San Diego fashion, they are the Dean Smith in North Carolina of the football world, 35-28. San Diego, 29 first downs to Cleveland's 22. They did run it 37 times. They actually were equal. 37 passes and 37 runs, and they were good on the ground. 4.3 yards. I think it was the best effort of the weekend. Fouts, 23 for 37, 320 yards. Just tremendous numbers for the era. He carved through a bad Cleveland defense. San Diego put up 469 yards and nearly went to overtime. Cleveland 382. Cleveland ran it 21 times, but when we go through the quarter by quarter, they didn't do it in the first half. It wasn't until they ran the ball in the second half that it was effective. And Sipe recovered well. I believe he went 2 for 11 in the first quarter. Overall, 21 for 37 and a pick. He threw for 285 yards. Cleveland might finish 5-11 in real life, but on this night, the mistake by the lake was a rockin'. We actually had 9 punts in the game. Third down, San Diego 6 for 14, Cleveland 6 for 12. Chuck Muncie is a beast. 19 carries, 87 yards. Capoletti, end of his career, 9 for 30. James Brooks, 7 for 21. They all scored, and Clarence Williams broke one, I believe, on a fourth down to go, 2 for 20. Fouts, 23 for 37, 320 yards, 1 touchdown, 62%, a quarterback rating of 98.9. Kellen Winslow, 9 catches, 156 yards. What a Monday night for him. Fouts went to him 10 times and completed 9. Joyner, 4 for 56. Dwight Scales, 3 catches for 58. Chandler, 3 for 33. Again, only 1 touchdown pass. They got 4 on the ground and 1 in the air. Kellen Winslow lost a fumble. Keith Ferguson had the game-winning sack. Leroy Jones got one too. Woodrow Lowe with that pick. Didn't get anywhere. James Brooks, speed. Absolute speed. Almost 104 yards in return yards. Bernurschke missed a long field goal, so that's not too bad, but he made all 5 extra points. For the longest time, Brian Sipe's 22-yard scamper was the longest play Cleveland had. When they finally went to Mike Pruitt, he did some stuff. He scored twice. He had a 37-yarder, 8 carries, 67 yards. Charles White, 6 carries, 7 yards. They held him in such high hopes. Not in that game, he didn't. Sipe, starting 2 for 11, finished 21 for 37, 285. Good completion percentage, good quarterback rating. Look how he spread it around. Ozzie Newsome, 5 for 93 and 2 scores. White wasn't too bad out of the backfield, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 different receivers for Cleveland, and when they got it going in the second half, it was kind of scary how close it was. Reggie Rucker was 2 for 5 in that department. Pruitt missed 4 catches. Alzado had the sack. Matt Barr did not even try a field goal. Chargers very consistent. Fouts was 14 for 22 for 199 in the first half. And they did their best to run it. I mean, they ran it 18 times in the second half for 85 yards. It wasn't like it wasn't successful. But was there penalties? No, San Diego didn't have a penalty. In fact, they had the ball longer in the fourth. But their defense is, we'll say it again, Swiss cheese. Look at those numbers in the second quarter. Fouts, 9 for 13, 139, and 180 total yards in the second quarter. Cleveland, 5 carries in the first half for 30 yards. Now, when Sipe found his footing, I mean, the rest of the game, 6 of 8 in the second, 5 of 5 in the third, and 8 of 13 in the fourth for 123. He single-handedly nearly got him there. The third quarter, 11 carries, 67 yards. I mean, Cleveland figured out what they needed to do. It just wasn't good enough. And so, on that note, you've seen my hair once already. Those are the 5 games I played in Solitaire Pro Football in Week 1. If we continue to do this, I'll do a video after Week 2. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ron Juckett. We'll talk to you the next time.